What's up, world? It's your boy AJ the Black World Traveler, and today the question is, who are the Pookies and Ray Rays that everybody's talking about? Because you hear everybody making the term Pookie and Ray Rays, kind of basically putting these certain guys in certain categories as being guys who I guess who are no good or whatever. Well, let me explain to you who the Pookies and Ray Rays are. And before I do that, if you like my channel, please like, share, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the notification button so I can hit you up and you can be notified when I shoot other videos. So, this is very simple. Pookies and Ray Rays. This is the term that's used for most women who had these babies by these guys. Well, let me break down who Pookies and Ray Rays are, and this is just how it is. Coming up, most people in their community went to church or the mosque, or they played football, went to the Boys and Girls Club, elementary school, junior high school. Most of these guys who are considered the Pookies and Ray Rays, basically they're guys that were raised around these girls. So sometimes these girls, they might have dated this guy, and that guy might have been their, their friends, their brother's friend or whatever. He might have came over and, spent the night with their brother or her cousin, and they just known each other all their lives. So the Pookie and Ray Rays are guys that was raised around them all their lives. These are not random guys they just found out the street. What's crazy about it, when you know somebody from childhood, a lot of times you don't know how they're going to turn out. So most of these guys, women who have these babies by these guys, a lot of times they were raised in the same neighborhoods. Coming up in school from elementary school to junior high and high school, the average person dates out of their community and their school. Sometimes you might date somebody from a different school only because they're probably bused to another district to go to school, or you might be bused to another district to go to school. But the Pookie and Ray Rays and the Little Johns and the Bam Bams, these are the nicknames. Whenever you call these people these nicknames, these are the people that you were raised around. Because usually when you were raised around people, most people have nicknames, and that's how you know them. So a lot of these women who had these children with these men knew them from childhood. So if they end up getting with a guy and then later on, she had children with him, and now, they're not getting along, he's not around, because you get older, you don't know how a person's going to turn out. You don't know how you're going to turn out. So these are the guys that were basically in the neighborhood. Like, they basically played football, they played basketball, sometimes they were even like, like a star in their cities as an athlete or a musician. And so these are the guys that these women had children with. Now, a lot of women having children at a young age. When I came up in the 70s and 80s, of course, there weren't too many girls that got pregnant that had babies, and it was kind of like forbidden and kind of ashamed if you did. If you were a girl that was a teen mother, you were kind of shunned upon back then, So a lot of girls didn't have babies at 16 or 17. They'd probably get pregnant when they got out of school. Somebody went to college. Some girls became mothers, and some guys became fathers at young ages, just because of the circumstances. You might start getting sexually active, and then mess around and have a kid, and then the parent won't let you get rid of the kid, so you have to basically be a dad or a mother, because they tell you, like my dad told me and my sisters, if you get somebody pregnant, you're gonna go be a dad or a mom. You're gonna take care of the kid. You're still gonna go to school. And both of my older sister became a teen mother right after my dad gave us that speech, and it scared me. So I was a child that basically was like that listening, and I didn't want that. My younger sister, she got married, but she still had a child. Her first child, I think, was 17, 18. I just didn't want that. So when I joined the military at 18, I traveled a lot over the world. I got married when I was 30 years old. The marriage didn't work out, but my child was born at 30. And I was just, all through my 20s and my teens, I just didn't see no reason of having children. I was living my life and doing what I wanted to do. And so I was one of the kids that basically was spared from that, because I actually, took it, to heart that if I, be a child, if I be an adult with a child, I got to take care of that child. I was still trying to figure out life myself. And I was still going through changes, because coming out of the military, it took me a while to balance it not even bounce back to get into civilian work. Because I would have left out the military at 18. I went straight in the military 6 months after high school. So I really didn't get that much experience with life as far as being a civilian. So coming out of the military was a little tougher for me. So in the process of that, though, I saw other girls I went to school with. They ended up getting boyfriends. It's kind of sad, but a lot of black young women who did became mothers. A lot of them didn't get married. A lot of them didn't put that as a priority. They became mothers before they were married. A lot of black women when I came up mostly had babies without being married. And in the old days that was kind of shunned upon. If you got a girl pregnant back in the days, the dad would make you marry his daughter. In the 80s and 90s, that changed. If a girl got pregnant, she just ended up being a single mother or a mother. If her and the dad got along, hopefully they did. If they didn't get along, then a lot of times she had a child. The problem is that they were both kids. They were both young adults. So, and back then, some guys would be hard on. Sometimes the guy would break the girl's heart. Sometimes the girl would break the guy's heart. The problem is when you're having children that young, you're both immature in the mind. So that's why you saw a lot of girls telling the guys they can't see their babies if they don't want to be with them, or they would play all these games, and so the dad can't see his child, or they get a new boyfriend, and so I said, well, he's the father now, because the father don't want to deal with her no more, so he don't want to come around. If he got to deal with her, then the new guy would come in and feel he's the father, and then sometimes their boyfriends and the ex-boyfriend and the baby dad would get into it, or the boyfriend and the baby dad would get into it. Instead of saying, hey, you got a child, whatever, be here for your kid. Sometimes guys want to try to flex and, stick their chest out and try to tell the man, I'm the father now. I never believed in that. I never carried on that way. I never wanted to take no man's place as a father of his child. I'm a little different. So I don't look at a man as a Pookie and Ray Ray, because I know that the Pookie and Ray Rays is somebody that she was raised with, and she didn't know no better. When you're raised around somebody all your life and you've been to church, y'all went to church together and Sunday school together and sang in the choir together, and y'all, went to high school together and dated and, went to the prom together, you're kids, you're growing. And a lot of times, to be real, man, usually when girls are in their teens, that's when they're their nicest. That's when they really love hard. Like a lot of girls would fall in love with a guy at 16, 17. When they had boyfriends, they would fall in love very deep, because girls would just, she liked to do, she'd give all in. Unfortunately, in my days, a lot of girls were attracted to like either older guys or gangbangers, dope dealers. They were attracted to them, so a lot of them had kids by them. And then those those are the ones that they call the Pookie and Ray Rays now. I mean, a lot of us were Pookies and Ray Rays. I know I wasn't, but a lot of us were. And because sometimes you date some pretty girls, and sometimes you'd be kind of conceited or kind of, have a lot of confidence and be kind of arrogant about it, because you can get good-looking girls even if you hurt them or not. So a lot of the betrayal, a lot of the keeping the kids from the father, it's came from immaturity. And to be real, man, a lot of us are just immature, coming up in our 20s and our teens, having babies. So that's why you have a lot of infidelity. Even back in my mother's days and my grandmother's days, same thing. A lot of them men didn't see their kids. Sometimes the mother needed the kids from the father. So you have some kids raised up in the ghetto or raised up in the projects or raised up without a father on welfare. If you were doing welfare, most of the time you didn't see your dad, because on welfare the woman wasn't allowed to have a man around. And you were going to Vietnam and all these things were going on in the 60s and 70s. So there were a lot of women who had children who didn't have their fathers around. So there was a lot of heartache. There was a lot of infidelity. There was a lot of people cheating, or basically not having the biological dad around, and sometimes being talked about. I've talked to so many guys who weren't raised around their dads, and they said, man, I had a chance to meet my dad and talk to him and found out he was actually a cool dude. I met a lot of guys and women who actually met their biological fathers and found out that their mother was the reason why they didn't have a relationship. And a lot of them resented their mothers. That's on the male and female side. But then what happens in the next generation, a lot of them they were still immature when they had children, and they did the same thing to their children. And that's why the black community is so messed up with these women how they do these kids, because a lot of times everything's out of emotion. And when you do things out of emotion, that's how you got the whole, oh, I was married to a Pookie or Ray Ray, or I was dating a Pookie and Ray Ray. And at the top of the line, a lot of women weren't trying to get married. They still wanted to be 20s. They still wanted to be in their 20s and party, but they were parents. You know, they weren't putting pressure on those guys to marry them. They weren't. A lot of these black women were not making marriage be a thing. They were making just child support or take care of your child, but not about getting married. You know, and like, you know, having a family and giving the kids something to see, as you know, as some kind of an image of what a family's supposed to look like. Like how my parents basically came from two homes where they were kind of broken, but they came together as a unit. And when they had us, through the good and the bad, they worked it out because they understood the importance of not having that tight family. And they went through things sometimes that we didn't know about. But guess what? We had both parents there. It's a difference. I have a lot of friends who didn't have their fathers around, you know, and it was crazy. And you like, where your dad? Oh, man, he's somewhere, you know. The mother would tell him whatever. And it's kind of messed up, but that's what a lot of dudes were told. You know, and so a lot of young black men have resentments toward their fathers, but it's crazy because a lot of them end up reuniting with their fathers when they got older and found out their fathers were pretty good dudes. And so that's basically what Pookie and Ray Ray. I broke up what a Pookie and Ray Ray is. Basically the dudes that the girl was raised with. You know, she had children with them when they were still kind of childish in the mind, and they ended up being parents, childish in the mind. And so a lot of times their beefs and their arguments and their them not getting along, and the women keeping the kids from the fathers, was all out of immaturity. You know, and not trying to get married and make it work. So, and they weren't given the blueprint on to get married. So a lot of times that's what happened too. Nobody gave them the blueprint on how to be a family. But yeah, so that's what the Pookie Ray Rays are, the guys you were raised with. And so I can't knock that. If you had a child with somebody and y'all didn't get along, and you have all these problems, know that this is the reason why y'all had the problem, because y'all were both immature in the mind, having children young, and you weren't looking out for the best interest of your children. A lot of women did not look out for the best interest of their children, having a father around, trying to put another man in there, trying to put a stepdad in front of the father where they did their biological father. And so in the future, a lot of them Pookies and Ray Rays were actually a lot of those guys were good guys, just didn't want to deal with the mother. So if you guys like my video, please like, share, subscribe. It's your boy, AJ the Black Traveler. I am out.